Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Scott Luton and Kevin L. Jackson with you here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's show. Kevin, how are you doing today?
You know, I love these live streams. It's always great. It's much better with that audience. So, wow, I'm excited about today, especially on this special day. And let me be the first to wish you a happy Veterans Day, my man.
Hey, Kevin, I appreciate that. Air Force veteran here, Navy veteran there. Kevin's actually a former naval aviator. How cool is that? Top Gun over there. Well, happy Veterans Day to you. And folks, all veterans that have ever served or currently serving, on behalf of our entire team, happy Veterans Day to you. Thank you for what you do. And hey, to your families behind you who also serve and sacrifice, hey, thanks to everyone out there. Really appreciate it. Okay, Kevin, we have got a lot to get into here today. So in today's show, it's The Buzz, where every Monday at 12 noon Eastern time, we discuss a variety of news and developments across global supply chain. But on the second Tuesday of each month, which is today, it's the Digital Transformers edition of The Buzz, where we tend to focus a lot more on technology. And I'm always joined by the one and only Kevin L. Jackson, who hosts Digital Transformers. You can find that podcast series wherever you get your podcasts. Today, Kevin, we're going to be diving into cybersecurity boosts, artificial intelligence proving grounds. I got my stopwatch ready to go. We've got new partnerships. And Kevin, if all that's not enough, we've got a special guest joining us. Karen Betancourt, CEO of Vanguard Medical Logistics, is joining us. All that and much, much more. Kevin, should be a great show, huh?
Yeah, you better not bust that bag. You got a lot. People putting a lot in this small bag here.
It'd be about like my son Ben, who had been taking his laptop to school with the same old bag from like 1982, and you know what happened, right? We'll save that for later. But anyway, folks, two things before we jump in, and we're going to lead with resources. I already see some great friends there in the chat. Number one, give us your take in the comments. We'd love to get your opinion on what we're talking about, whether you're tuned in via LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch, no matter. Let us know what you think. And if you enjoy the show today, we'd love for you to share it with your friends and your network. Hey, share it with Aunt Edna up in Idaho. They'll be better off and more informed because you do. All right, so really quick, Gino Pledger is with us, the pride of North Alabama. Hi, fellas. Happy Veterans Day to you both. Appreciate that, Gino. Great to have you here. Looking forward to your take on some things. And, of course, Trisha and Amanda behind the scenes. Happy Buzz Day, Trisha says, the pride of Cincinnati. Say hello and let us know where you're watching from. That's right. Let us know as you tune in. See, I know Gino, Kevin. I knew he's been with us for so long. He's from the North Alabama area, and I bet I'm not going to prompt him for a city in case anyone might track him down. But we love connecting the dots in this global village that is global supply chain. Right, Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been to LA a few times. In fact, my sister graduated in Foley, Alabama, and I went to her graduation not too long ago.
Okay, by LA, you're talking about Lower Alabama. Is that right, Kevin?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that one never gets old. Hey, and one more special guest. My mom, Leah Luton, is tuned in from Aiken, South Kakalaki. Good day to the Buzz and Kevin L. Jackson. Happy Veterans Day. We have so much to be thankful for. Thanks for being here, Mom. Okay.
Oh, James from Huntsville. Rocket
City. That's right.
Rocket City.
Rocket City. That's right.
Yes.
And some folks may not know that Kevin, during one stretch of his journey, spent some time with NASA sending satellites out to the no longer planet of Pluto.
That was so sad. They demoted the planet.
Yeah, we got to revisit that, Kevin. That's right. We got to revisit that. But anyway, let's talk about some resources really quick, Kevin. We've got a lot to get into here today. And I want to start by sharing the U.S. Bank Freight Payment Index for third quarter 2024. Now, this just was released. Folks, if you're new to the Freight Payment Index, it's going to help you understand what's been taking place in the domestic freight market as well as the national economy. And as me being a non-economist, boy, I struggled with that class back in college. I'll take all the help we can get. So check out
that was
third
one
quarter.
class that was worse than English. economics.
Kevin, I'm with you. Micro, macro, it brings back nightmares. But this report, it's free, first off, which makes it even better. It's data driven, which makes it even better. And it gives you kind of looking in the rearview mirror, a better understanding of what took place and why. And it'll help you be more prepared for what's to come. So you can check it out. We're dropping a link right there. You can also go to freight.usbank.com. And I love, you see the 5 regions there, Kevin. I love how they the observations and the data on a more regional level, because we know that there's some regional similarities and also some regional differences. But y'all check it out. Kevin, you've already mentioned Veterans Day, which is the November each and every year. Kevin, before I share with that said, I got one important question for you. Your favorite or your worst Chow Hall food dish? How fast are you on your feet?
Or my worst? You know what? I really enjoyed Thanksgiving on the carrier.
Okay. Well, I guess
there's some great food on the carrier. Probably not as good as it is on the submarines, but they bring out all turkey with all the fixings.
I love it.
When you're out and you're kind of lonely, away from family, and back in the day when I was on the carrier, you didn't have like the internet, and you couldn't just video call anyone anytime you wanted. It was all about snail mail.
Well, and I figure if you didn't like what you're having, you could always take your plane and go somewhere else. Is that right, Kevin? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
All right.
So the air boss, hey, put it into the wind. I want to leave this joint.
That's right. Hey, kidding aside, and Veterans Day should be a happy day. We're celebrating so many wonderful folks that have served and are currently serving in the United States Armed Forces. So really appreciate that. And of course, on a related note, with that said, our almost weekly newsletter we drop usually every Sunday. Over the past weekend, we celebrated Veterans Day, and you know how we did it, Kevin? Is we took some of our favorite episodes of Veteran Voices, right? And I think we there's been almost 100, it seems, and we took 6 or 7 of our favorites and we added that to the top of the newsletter. And one of those, Kevin, was, I think, literally your cousin. Vernice, who was the first Black female combat pilot. Did I get that right, Kevin?
Yes, she was the first Black female combat helicopter pilot. She was a Marine Corps. Got him out there. And
well, that was a great interview. That was one of many of our favorites. All of them are special, folks. And you can find Veteran Voices wherever you get your podcasts. It's led by the one and only Mary Kate Saliva, a U.S. Army veteran, does a great job. And beyond Veteran Voices and the rest of With That Said, we touched on some of big things that some of our favorite friends of the show are up to, like Corey Comer, who just launched Whiskey Wanderlust, a really cool new podcast. Do you like whiskey, Kevin?
You know it.
Well, check out Whiskey Wanderlust wherever you get your podcasts, especially on YouTube. Corey is doing wonderful work there as well. One more quick resource, folks, as we got a jam-packed front end here of the Buzz Digital Transformers Edition. Folks, did you know cargo theft is up almost 50% according to some estimates this year over last year? So you should tune in to a live webinar we've got tomorrow. That's Tuesday, November 12th, where Richie Daigle with Tyve and Michael Caney with Highway have some answers and expertise that organizations just got to hear. We're going to drop the registration link right there. And hey, if you can't make it, not a problem. We got you back. All registrants will get an on-demand copy of the conversation. That makes it convenient, Kevin, right? When you can all things on demand, right?
Yeah, get kind of lazy. Everything goes right to your door, dropping it with the drone. But on demand is what's important. Although, I mean, you can actually see this show on demand, but it's much, much better when it's live.
That's right, Kevin. 100%. Okay, folks, we're going to make this really easy. Again, we've got the U.S. Bank Freight Payment Index, one click away right there. We've got, With That Said, our newsletter right there, one click away. And also the webinar we just talked about, which is open to anybody. You just got to register. Get one click away right there. And Kevin, before we get into our first news story, Heather Lee Flannery is with us. She says, hello, Kevin. Thrilled to be in the audience. I'm the CEO of AI Mind Systems Foundation, where we are driving the hashtag National Hero Initiative. Kevin, make the quick connection for us.
Oh, wow. We're going to talk about that. In fact, I had dinner with Heather last week. We're going to talk about what they're doing in the news, but we had the Government Blockchain Association conference, and Heather is a applied futurist, policy and patient advocate, and a complex systems theorist, right?
Wow.
As a CEO, she co-founded that AI Mind system in March of 2024 with their chief scientific officer, Sean Mannion, Dr. Sean Mannion, and other industry leaders. And they have this vision for structural interventions for humanity's health, safety, prosperity, and privacy. And she's also the chair of the Healthcare and Life Sciences Working Group at the GBA. And she's also does the Washington, D.C. chapter of AI 2030. What's AI going to do out there in the future? And she developed standards at IEEE. And with respect to, we're going to talk later about getting into the C-suite, right?
Yeah.
She serves as the Women Economic Forum G100 U.S. Northeast Regional Chair for Humanity, Technology, and Innovation. So Heather does a lot.
It sounds like it will.
Great time.
Well, we've got the smartest audience in all of global business, and it sounds like Heather fits right in, because not only is she must be great at math, given all those technical and science-driven roles, but she's moving mountains. So Heather, welcome. Great to have you here. We're going to talk more about a new partnership. So thanks for being here. Okay. So Kevin, we've got a lot of work to do. We've got 3 big stories to get to before our distinguished guest joins us here in Betancourt, about 12:30. So we got a lot. So y'all buckle up, get ready, and let us know what you think. By the way, Heather says, thank you, Kevin. That explains why I feel so busy. You must be, no doubt.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Let's switch gears and let's talk about, folks, with Veterans Day being today, that's going to be a big theme. That and technology and, of course, supply chain here today. That theme is going to be found in about all the stories we're covering. So I want to start with a story from our friends at GovCIO that focuses on how the Navy is improving its cybersecurity efforts. Kevin, tell us more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Department of Navy operates a very dangerous cyber domain with all our enemies out there, and they really juggle supply chain security, data integrity, and advanced cybersecurity in order to bolster defense of this information. So the Navy is working closely with the defense industrial base, the partners, to eliminate the supply chain in order to evaluate cybersecurity practices of all those involved in the blockchain, in the supply chain. And they are leveraging blockchain to do that. They are checking data for accuracy and consistency throughout the supply chain so that they can respond to any type of irregularities or violations through that process. It's really all about visibility, and they need to implement strong encryption and access controls, as well as conducting regular security assessments across the entire supply chain to actively validate their posture rather than simply focus on compliance. I think that's real great advice to anyone that's dealing with today's complex, what we say, the supply mesh. It's no longer a supply chain.
That's one of your go-to, supply mesh versus supply chains. And I think there's a lot of truth and a lot of accuracy in that.
Yeah.
I would just, first off, it's great. And maybe the private sector continue to learn how the public sector and our military strengthens its cybersecurity. Hopefully there's lots of parallels there. But also good news, folks. Speaking of the Navy, right? Kevin's branch he served in, the U.S. Navy has been busy for months. In fact, one commander of the fleet there in the Red Sea said that the Houthi attacks on the U.S. fleet there was the longest sustained attack since World War II, was what the quote I saw, I think, in the Wall Street Journal. So it's been busy with months, trying to protect and keep open the critical shipping lanes in the Red Sea, given all those attacks. But there's good news, because the U.S. military has ramped up its offensive attacks on the Houthis and their supporters in the last few weeks, maybe going back a little longer than that, maybe the last month or two. And from what I can find, October may have seen the least amount of shipping attacks yet. And Kevin, that is a great thing on a variety of levels.
I wonder if that big wing B-2 had anything to do with it from the Air Force.
Hey, my hunch is absolutely no doubt about it. And I'm just glad after all the carnage we've seen, vessels lost, lives lost. Hopefully we'll get some more serenity, and we'll see what the future holds. So, but excellent lead-off article on cybersecurity and some of the cool things the Navy is doing. And Heather also agrees with you. Hey, +1 on supply mesh versus chain. We're gonna have to get Karen to weigh in when she joins us as well. And folks, don't take Kevin's word for it or mine. We're adding the links to each of these articles right there in the chat. Okay, Kevin, I want to switch gears and talk about this next story. This comes to us from our friends at NextGov/FCW. It rolls right off the tongue, huh? We're going to be talking artificial intelligence here. The U.S. Department.
Heather's going to have something else to say about this.
The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration are partnering to create an interagency testing ground for healthcare-related AI tools. Kevin, tell us more.
So, the military takes care of you when you're in and when you're out. And so the VA Undersecretary for Health, Sharif El-Nahal, announced that the VA Innovation Experience Conference on Wednesday, saying that the agencies are establishing a joint health AI lab to evaluate promising and emerging technologies. I mean, healthcare is critical, and artificial intelligence can really help in a lot of different ways. El-Nahal said that the lab will serve as an asset for federal agencies and the private sector to be able to test applications of artificial intelligence in a virtual lab environment to ensure not only that they work, but that they are safe and effective for veterans and for the patients, and that they adhere to trustworthy AI principles. As we have had a couple of shows about artificial intelligence. You know what I say? Don't be scared, right? It's just a tool. Let's learn how to properly use these tools to improve all of society.
Kevin, well said. Don't be scared. Well said. Folks, we got to lean into AI and modern innovative technology, but in a focused, targeted, right tool at the right time type of manner. And I love this testing ground. And when you shared this article and we plan on using it here today, I did a quick Google search. We've had, millions of shows on AI. And I love this interagency testing ground. And I've seen some private sector similar versions. And I think this is something we need to do a whole bunch more of, especially, Kevin, in the healthcare arena. If we look at the veteran community, the demands that will be, we already have incredibly high demands on the VA, right? And all the healthcare it provides. We're going to have to lean in to better ways of doing that, leveraging the most innovative technology so we can not only increase service levels, but just meet the sheer demand of our veterans and their families. Your final thought, Kevin, before we move on.
Well, you have to have a whole of government approach to the healthcare of our veterans. And this is really a way of embracing technology and improving the life and the health and the when people leave the military, being able to integrate into society. So I think it's important for us to understand that this is what's needed.
Yes.
Everyone should collaborate on this type of requirement.
Well, Kevin, as I understand it, and look, I'll defer, you and Karen and many others will know more about technology than I will probably ever learn in my lifetime. But as I understand these testing grounds, it's a bit of a petri dish, a bit of a skunk works to make sure the tools are safe and effective and successful before we roll them out into the real world, so to speak, for applications. Is that a good way of looking at it, Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you did there. Our last show was about the skunk works, but absolutely.
That was a good one.
Yeah, just like they do in the skunk works. You gotta, explore the leading edge and understand the goods and the bads. So this is great.
So, folks, if you're new to the word skunk works, it really refers to a division of Lockheed Martin that has been responsible for some of the most innovative and remarkable aircraft for generations. So check it out. We featured Thomas. What was Thomas's last name, Kevin?
Morris?
I think so. So Amanda and Trisha, y'all gonna have to help us out. Thomas was with Lockheed. He was a technologist with Lockheed, and we talked about a couple different elements here. He was also a fellow veteran, served in the U.S. Army, where he did some really cool things in cyber and other things. It was Thomas Marr with Lockheed. Maybe we'll drop the link.
Security too. That's what he did. That's his job.
We will drop the link to that episode sponsored by our friends at Microsoft. Y'all gotta check that out. All right, Kevin, we got some comments here I want to share before we hit this third story and announcement, which is really cool. Starting with our friend T Squared, who holds down the fort on YouTube for us. This is wonderful nourishment here. That's right, T Squared. Appreciate you being here as always.
Eat it up, T Squared.
You need a knife and a fork today. Kevin, T Squared is up in your neck of the woods, not too far. Baltimore.
Yeah.
That might be a few hours. That's home. That's right.
Yep.
I said it wrong. Let's see. Heather is celebrating the VA and the FDA getting together and creating this interagency AI testing ground. I'm with you. I think Gino is celebrating your comment. Don't be scared, Kevin. Said Gino, we can't be scared, right? Human transformations, what powers the digital transformation. Is that right, Kevin?
Yes, absolutely.
Nadeem is back with us from Saudi Arabia. Nadeem.
Hey.
How are you doing, my friend? Let us know what you're thinking on this Digital Transformers Monday.
Just a little bit of a linkage here. The Government Blockchain Association actually hosts the United Nations Internet Governance Forum, Dynamic Coalition on Blockchain Assurance and Standards, and will be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. In December with the IGF Internet Governance Forum annual conference. So I'm trying to figure out how I can catch a ride. So maybe.
Hey, we're going to get you hooked up with our friend Nadeem. Nadeem, let us know what part of Saudi Arabia. I know it's a big country. What part of Saudi Arabia you are in? We'll see if we can't get you connected with Kevin.
The kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
That's right. Kingdom. Let's see here. Mark Preston, my dear friend Mark Preston from Peachtree City. Go Georgia Tech, the Yellow Jackets who knocked off Miami this past weekend.
Oh, wow. That was a big one.
Mark, your ears may have also been burning. We mentioned Mark. Mark is a Lean Six Sigma guru, Kevin. And we mentioned him in the latest edition of With That Said, as we had a blog article come out about Lean, who gets a bad rap, but that's because you've got organizations that are doing certain things and calling it lean, and it's not lean thinking. It's not lean thinking. So, folks, if you want to learn more about how lean real lean thinking could apply to your organization, you got to connect with Mark Preston. Finally, one quick comment here from Heather. Heather says, Dr. Tetta's book, Smarter Healthcare, with all harnessing military medicine to revolutionize healthcare
AI.
for everyone, everywhere. Oh, that's right. Smarter Healthcare with AI, harnessing military medicine to revolutionize healthcare for everyone, everywhere, is releasing tomorrow on the 12th. And she had the honor of authoring the forward of the book on the National Hero Initiative. Love that, Heather. We're going to have to learn more.
I'm going to have to get some autographs from Heather.
We are. Have to go through her agent. Okay. Kevin, we got one more story to hit. This is a bit of an announcement, which is very exciting. And I'm going to pop this up here. So according to recent press releases, several businesses are teaming up to serve U.S. veterans, first responders, and their families through enhanced AI security. Kevin, tell us more.
Yes. Now, this as a key part of responsible AI and ethical AI programs, AI Mind Systems Foundation will deploy the guardrails for Gen AI suite within the components of their trusted data and AI ecosystem. And this is being deployed as part of the National Hero Initiative. So the guardrails for Gen AI is a solution that places critical safeguards around AI systems, keeping humans in the loop to monitor and address potential artificial intelligence risk, such as cybersecurity vulnerabilities, intellectual property concerns, violence, self-harm, harassment, bias, discrimination, profanity, brand, and compliance risk. This initiative will pilot and study innovative structures for healthcare and social service delivery to our veterans and decentralized clinical research. National Hero aims to radically improve personalization, efficiency, and preservation of privacy by empowering individuals with complete enterprise scale data and AI infrastructures that is under their direct control. This will make it possible for individuals and families to access care, support, and resources seamlessly integrated from across organizations, sectors that are tailored to their unique needs. So this is really, putting AI in a position to help us all.
Kevin, I love this. And Heather, really appreciate what you and your team are doing. She says, thank you so much for highlighting AI Mind Systems Foundation's new partnership with Guardrail Technologies and National Hero. Appreciate what you're doing. One quick comment, Kevin. So we had Lloyd Knight, who founded Vetlanta, with us on Friday, longtime friend. He helped us create Veteran Voices back in the day. Spent 20 years and 3 days, as he put it, I think, on active duty in the U.S. Air Force. And he spent a bunch of time. I can't remember what he's approaching. He's been with UPS for a long time, doing some great things there. But anyway, he made a great comment that I hadn't really thought about, but it's very related to this announcement. And he mentioned something like, I'm a paraphrase, that senior citizens are thought oftentimes about being the victims of fraud or criminal activities and whatnot. But he mentioned veterans are a close second, right, of being taken advantage of. So I love initiatives like this because we know that just like all of us, the good actors are doing wonderful, innovative things with modern technologies to include AI. We also know, by the same token, that the criminal element and the bad actors have just as much access to technology and are doing bad things and taking advantage and criminalizing or stealing from folks.
Yeah.
And so I love elements like this. So Kevin, this looks like to be a pretty powerful initiative for veterans, first responders, and of course their families. Is that right?
Yeah. This is absolutely an arms race, right? Because that technology is out there, and just like anything, it can be used for good or for bad. So we have to, bring the white hats out.
That's right. That's right.
Every day.
Every hour. All right. A lot of good stuff here today. And two more quick announcements before we bring in our special guest here today. You're all going to love Karen Betancourt. Yeshwant.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Yeshwant, how you doing?
He says, AI consultant from Allen, Texas. I met Kevin for the first time at the GBA conference in DC last week. Know Heather quite well. First time on the buzz. Welcome, Yeshwant. Great to have you with us here today. I wonder what Allen, Texas is known for other than Yeshwant, Kevin. But they got some good food down there. Also, thank you, Tricia, who shared that episode we were referencing a few minutes ago with Thomas Marr with Lockheed. You're going to want to check that out, especially as it relates to cybersecurity and how at the intersection of cybersecurity and manufacturing.
You know what was really good about that show? I mean, he works in a top secret environment. And he was telling us about the techniques and the challenges and the threats. And it's the exact same threats that everyone has. So I
just want to clarify. All that top secret stuff. He was telling Kevin. He wasn't telling me, folks. So whoever's out there listening. All right. We got an outstanding guest here today. Outstanding.
Yeah, roll tape. He was there. I'm not going to prison by myself.
All right. So we're going to shift gears here today. It was a good episode. Y'all check it out. Our featured guest here today on The Buzz has done some really big things in global supply chain, having served in critical leadership roles with name brand and innovative companies such as Cardinal Health, Amazon, and Walmart. Now, she now serves as CEO for a leading medical supply chain company that serves Central and South America. Please join me in welcoming Karen Betancourt, CEO of Vanguard Medical Logistics. Hey, Karen, how you doing today?
Hey. Hi, Karen.
I am wonderful. Thank you, and happy Veterans Day. Thank you both for your service.
Thank you.
Super important.
Well, I really appreciate that. And I think you had your brother is a Marine, right? Served in the Marines. Is that right, Karen?
Yes, my brother served in the Marines, and on my husband's side of the family, Air Force, Navy, tons of folks. So we represent everyone. Actually, I have a cousin in the Army, so I've covered all of the major 4 branches.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, so glad for you to be here with us today. I really enjoyed spending some time with you last week, and we had some interesting discussions there. But we're going to start. We're going to start, Karen and Kevin, with a fun warm-up question on one of my favorite topics, and that's food. So Thanksgiving is coming up right around the corner here in the U.S., and I want to ask you both, starting with Karen, what is one dish that you look forward to every single year when it comes to Thanksgiving?
So without a doubt, that is ooey gooey spinach loaf, which has the worst name on the face of the planet. But you think spinach dip on top of a toasty, perfect French baguette with bacon, and then you add a little bit more cheese on the outside. And without that, it's not Thanksgiving. It's not a holiday. We actually break it out again in December because we love it so much. But that's my answer for sure.
All right. So I'm going to write that down. We're going to have to get the recipe for ooey gooey spinach loaf. And, some things, they don't have the blessing of a really great sounding name such as that, but I'll take your word for it. I bet it's delicious, Karen.
It is.
And before I ask Kevin, hey, CHAM, great to have you here. Appreciate your service in the United States Air Force. And CHAM says, love the subject matter, important. That's right. All right. And you got one fan already. Karen, that sounds amazing. That's either Amanda or Tricia back there behind the scenes. Kevin, what's one dish you're looking forward to?
Well, I'm on a global show right now, right? So okay. I have to tell the truth. I'm sorry. But my favorite Thanksgiving food comes courtesy of my wife, Lisa, and it's sweet potato souffle. Ooh, I just eat it all up, I love that. Sometimes I got to push away the turkey so I can eat more sweet potato souffle.
I'm with you. Man, I'm with you. Yeah, I love turkey, but sometimes I do lighten my plate in that compartment, so I get some of these other delicious dishes. And I would just add to Karen's ooey gooey spinach loaf and Kevin's sweet potato souffle. Is that what you said, Kevin?
Yes.
right? Sweet
Yes.
potato souffle.
Sweet potato souffle. Yes.
My grandmom's potato salad, hands down, the best ever. It takes a lot of work to get it done right, but Amanda has taken that recipe and almost perfected it. That's delicious.
Wow.
And
You
fried
let
turkey.
Amanda have that?
Oh, well, I think she was bribed, maybe, but it comes out great. And if you haven't, folks, if you haven't had fried turkey yet, it is absolutely delicious, like a Cajun fried turkey. Y'all check that out. Okay, Karen and Kevin, we're starving, and my mom's gonna make us more hungry. Plain old pumpkin pie for me with some whipped cream, I bet.
Yeah.
But I can't wait. Food, as much as important as food is during Thanksgiving, nothing like getting your family together, sharing all the stories that come out, that time of year, every year, and just enjoying the camaraderie and fellowship. So looking forward to that. All right, Karen and Kevin, we got to get to work. We got a lot of stuff that we want to ask Karen, actually you both about. And Karen, I want to start with, for the handful of folks out there that may not be familiar with you just yet, despite an incredible career thus far. If you would tell us briefly about your background.
Sure, absolutely. I'm getting close to knocking on 20 years in supply chain, but started out at Target. So started out in retail, then moved into McMaster-Carr, which is an industrial supply company famous for same and next day delivery of your impossible to find items. So that taught me a lot about fulfillment. And then spent nearly 7 years at Amazon, doing pretty much everything from launching legacy fulfillment to launching robotic fulfillment, then going up and making sure North America and Europe were at par for technology, and then moved to Walmart for a little bit to help them out and build a sortation center network for them. And then spent a couple years at Cardinal Health in the midst of the pandemic, focusing on delivering medical and pharmaceutical at an incredibly critical time for the world. And so now I am CEO of Vanguard Medical Logistics. It's based in Panama and serves 9 countries, including portions of the United States. But what it does is take advantage of Panamanian transit law. It's fantastic and super lucky, but you can have indefinite in-transit inventory in certain portions of Panama as a result of the canal, which allows you to avoid the landing cost of incorrectly placing your inventory. And we all know that when we're talking about razor-thin margins or supply chain delays or having to reroute because of Red Sea, Houthis, whatever the issue may be, where your inventory is and whether it's accessible for that sale is critical. And so that's what we're doing.
Love that, Karen, finding new creative, innovative ways of taking friction out of global supply chains. And, Kevin, I spent some time with Karen last week, right? And I learned about her background after our chat. So imagine this. I'm sitting there talking to Karen about Amazon and Walmart, not knowing that she has done big things in supply chains at both those organizations. So Karen, I look forward to our next conversation as well. But Kevin, when it comes to supply chain and when it comes to digital transformation and leadership, I think we've got quite a bit to learn from Karen here today. Your thoughts?
Well, my thought is Karen didn't tell us during the pre-show that she was responsible for those drones dropping packages on the port. I mean, she left that little bit out.
That's right.
You were hysterical. Oddly enough, the only places I did drones at Cardinal. We were testing it there, but I missed out on drones at Amazon or Walmart. But I did absolutely work on that. Drone technology is fantastic. I'm a little skeptical that you need to get your purse or a toy off of a retailer's website via drone, but color me a skeptic.
And there's lots of folks that are equally as skeptical. Karen, Kevin, I talked about having lunch with a couple of chief supply chain officers about a month or so ago, and we were talking about what's next, and they were equally as skeptical, Karen, about the next generation of drone delivery. We'll see. Kevin, your last thought, and then we're going to move into our first story about the first mile.
Yeah, the second thing is that she's really focused on helping getting products through customs, because that was one I've been dealing with, trying to ship stuff to the EU, and I tell you, and with trying to deal with the tariffs and the VAT and Carnet and ATA and all of that, I tell you, it's really a pain. So that sounds like what you're doing there with that in-transit inventory helps with that pain point.
Oh, yeah.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. No one gets it right, and it's a pain and expensive for everyone. And it's even worse when you get to pay duties twice because it's in the wrong country.
Yeah.
So trying to always make that easier.
There's a better way. There is a better way.
There is a better way.
As CM says, oh, light bulb coming off. Indefinite in-transit inventory. Learn something new. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we learn something new every day, don't we, CM? Danny asked a great question. What would be the 5 KPIs of the supply chain manager? We may touch on that later in the show. We're going to talk about career advancement later in the show. So stick tight. If we don't get to that question today, Danny, we'll get to it later. And I think this is Amanda. Give me all the Thanksgiving carbs. I want cornbread dressing, rolls, and desserts. I'm with you. I am with you. I love corn. I love any dressing with Tabasco. All right, Karen and Kevin, we got a lot to get to. I want to start with this article here from our friends at Supply Chain Dive. I'm going to unpack this a bit, and then Karen will get your reaction, and then, of course, we'll get Kevin's as well. So according to the author here, we're entering the age of first mile reinvention. Now, we all know that we talk and work on a whole bunch more on the last mile than we do the first mile, but I would say that's been changing for years. But here's one example that article points to. A few years back, the global food company Danone, y'all have heard of that before, right? I know they're famous in our household for the yogurt. Well, they rolled out 20 digital solutions into its baby food factory in Poland, including AI-based planning and scheduling, amongst others. Guess what? Manufacturing costs were reduced by 19%. Greenhouse gas emissions were lowered some 50%. Sounds really easy. I know it's a lot harder done than said. But in fact, a 2024 0100 survey and published research has found that 16% of the companies surveyed had established AI use cases in planning, ranging from demand forecasting to replenishment and allocation. In fact, 17% of the use cases amongst that group were found in sourcing. In particular, 0100 identified 20 global planning transformations that leveraged AI's predictive capabilities to drive anywhere from 10 to 50% improvements in forecast accuracy. And we all know our forecasts could use as much accuracy enhancements as possible, but they also found improvements in revenues, costs, and cash. Now, the author, get this, we'll see if y'all agree or disagree. The author, Lauren Akoba, says, quote, "Those who don't invest in the first mile will likely finish last," end quote. Love that. So, Karen, I'll start with you. Your reaction to first mile transformation, your reaction to anything we touched on there, and what's the opportunity you see maybe?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm thrilled we're talking about it because we have a tendency to ignore supply chain, and first mile is probably the most boring part for most people of supply chain, right? They expect things to just bump up to their dock and they don't worry about it too much.
Right.
So I'm thrilled to see that. I would argue always challenging space to get your finance partners on board, because if you're not paying the freight either off your dock or onto your dock, you have a tendency to be in type 2 savings, and nothing will pay off if you are letting finance be the only determinant of that. So thrilled we're talking about it. You have to remember, first mile for you is always last mile for somebody else, right? We think about last mile being just for customers because that's the UPS guy, that's the Amazon logistics guy, drop it off at your house. But it's actually anytime it ceases its movement. So we need to think about it. We need to stop ignoring this. We take bridges for granted. We take supply chain for granted. So innovate, but that's going to require conversations amongst groups that don't always have great chains of communication, right? And so how do we as an industry, how do we as groups start to talk so that we are going farther upstream? Danone was able to do that because they're owning everything from raw materials down, right? Really straightforward. But when you're doing any sort of coordination, that's where it gets complicated. So thrilled we're focusing on it. This is the epitome of humans are the most successful species on the planet because we're the most collaborative. We need to collaborate here and then drive innovation.
Karen, I love it. 2 quick comments, and Kevin, I'm going switch over to get your thoughts.
Okay.
We do take a lot of things for granted. I love that you mentioned that bridge. You know, we'll drive across every bridge, coast to coast, around the globe, and if it goes as it's supposed to, we never even think about it. But the minute there's a problem, that's when we pay more attention to any bridge. And then secondly, the conversations do got to change. That's a great call out a couple of times, Karen. Kevin, your thoughts on first mile and improvements, you name it.
Yeah. Well, that article specifically called out artificial intelligence in a couple of places. But one thing that really caught my eye was that AI predictive capabilities drove from 10 to 50% of the absolute improvements in forecast accuracy. And that drove additional improvements in revenue, cost, reduced cost, and cash flow. So this is, we're talking a lot about AI, and this is another application of AI. So, I mean, I think this is important to people, jump on it. Don't wait.
Kevin, excellent point. And, that came up in our chat last week, Karen. And I think we were both talking about the big opportunity we have with AI. But I think we both agreed that, folks, before you get to AI, let's make sure we're leveraging and using our data. Let's maybe start there. Karen, quick comment before we move to the next question.
It is a space that historically we've underinvested in. We're not retaining data. We're just taking things for advantage. Most of us still working a lot on paper. AI can only do 10 to 50%. If you figured out a way to get the data off of the piece of paper into a database that the AI can use. So everybody you are behind the 8 ball if you are not yet focused on getting everything digitized so that your AI can analyze.
That's right. And Kevin, don't be scared, right?
No. And there's a term for that. I think it's digital transformation. Yeah, that's what it is.
Love it. We got so much more we could talk about that. We got a lot more we want to pose to Karen here today on the Digital Transformers edition of The Buzz. And I got a next big topic, and that is technology selection and implementation. Folks, I'll tell you, I think we've talked a lot about both of these topics here on plenty of shows.
Yeah.
I talk regularly about how selection, despite all that we've learned over the decades, oftentimes some of us still take shortcuts when it comes to selection. Implementation is a whole different beast, right? But Karen, given all of your expertise and experience in implementing or selecting and implementing technologies across your career, what's a couple pieces of advice that you'd offer our audience that are probably doing the same in so many different ways?
Excellent question. So the number one is stakeholder management. It's knowing which stakeholders and when to bring them in. So you do not want them too early in the process because they will demand things and there is no solution that is perfect. That leads a lot of companies into building their own technology. Spoiler alert. Most companies that are not technology companies suck at building technology. And if you bring your stakeholders in too early, you go custom entirely all the way. Second, do not let a smooth salesperson, woman or man, whatever it is, be the person that's pushing the solution onto you. I also see a lot. You get an incredibly compelling salesperson that if they worked for you, you're thrilled. However, if you are the customer and you get something oversold because the salesperson doesn't realize what the solution actually needs to do. So know your problem statement, know your stakeholders. And then number 3, actually fully implement the solution. Do not let a freak out of the C-suite or finance or someone stop you from fully implementing technology. There is no bigger problem in corporate America today than the tech debt that has been created by partially deploying things and not actually fully deploying. So if those are my top three, I've done all of them wrong at some point, one or the other.
We all have, undoubtedly, Karen, and I love that you mentioned tech debt. I think there needs to be a whole bunch more awareness when it comes to what tech debt is and the negative impact that it has. That's such a great call out. Kevin, when you think of technology selection, implementation, whether it's Karen's expert advice there or what you've learned and have shared with organizations, what comes to your mind?
what comes to my mind is squirrel.
Right.
The first shiny object you see, you want. And then the C-suite will drive everyone crazy because that's what was on, in the magazine last flight. It's important to understand not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it and where it links to your business processes. You have to have a holistic view of technology, and you have to have a direct linkage of the technology to your business KPIs. You have to know what's going to change, what you have to measure metrics with respect to the implementation timeline of the technology. Otherwise, you're just squirrel.
The 7-second goldfish attention span, right?
Right.
Squirrel's a great analogy, goldfish, great analogy, and that's the human element, right? That's the beautiful, imperfect human element that's part of any industry, supply chain, technology, global business, you name it. And one last thought before we move on. I think adoption. Karen, I can't remember if it was part of our conversation last week or another person else. I talk about adoption a lot because I think lots of studies point to the immense challenge we have with truly optimizing and maximizing adoption. I want to say Gartner came out with a stat at one of its recent planning conferences that said the average adoption of new technology platforms, I think in general, it could have been for planners. But anyway, is less than 30%. We have a massive problem, I think, with adoption because we have all this kind of what you are both talking about.
Yeah.
We're human. We've got attention issues. All of us do. We've got 1,000 things coming at us every day. We've got tidal waves of data. Of course, we got we're constantly problem solving, right? Planning, getting ready for what's next while still getting today's workout, so to speak. So we're fighting, adoption's fighting for a lot of the space between the ears. Karen, your quick comment on adoption. I'll get both of y'all really quick. Just speak to adoption for a second.
It's got to be one of the KPIs that Kevin was just talking about. Adoption rate, engaging, going, and then having uncomfortable conversations if you're the product owner or the deployment leader of why the hell it hasn't been adopted, and then actually taking the feedback in. That has to be. Otherwise, you're going to lose it.
Well said, Karen. Kevin, your last thought on adoption. And by the way, which door are you choosing, Kevin? Red, purple, yellow, or blue? There's a prize behind one of them.
I don't see a green.
Adoption, your final word there, Kevin.
You have to have metrics on adoption, but also metrics on completion.
Yeah.
And when you complete, what was the ROI based upon the metrics that you got to choose at the very beginning of adoption. And please, please don't change the metrics because they look bad.
Ooh.
I hate that. You choose metrics at the beginning of an adoption phase and they don't look good. So you say, okay, let's change these metrics because clearly something's wrong. We don't look too good in the C-suite. But you choose your metrics so you can make decisions. And people hate making decisions. Make the decision. If you have to kill it, let's say fail fast, kill it early. And that's what the metrics are for.
Well said, Kevin. Well said. And a lot of folks don't like making decisions, but I think one of the great silver linings of this wonderful technology, brilliant technology age we're living in is we're putting our teams, when done right, we're putting our teams in position to make better, faster, more sound, successful, and confident decisions. And that will hopefully create pull some of the disdain away from decision making. Mark Preston, it is great to have a lot of golf clubs, but you look silly if you're on the golf course without a bag. Foundation of processes and data needs to come first to hold all the shiny golf clubs. Mark, well said.
Nice. Love
the analogy. Okay, Karen, incredible journey thus far. And I want, in light of that, and we got to have you back so we can take a deeper dive. You got so many great stories to share, but we get the question all the time. Hey, Scott, Kevin, other SCN hosts, how can I advance into the C-suite like so many of your guests, whether it's in supply chain or technology or you name it? And Karen, I would love to kind of get your advice, especially when it comes to career advancement, that I think some of the folks here were asking about. When you think of the challenging path of any career, what's some advice that you've seen really work and has advanced your career into the upper echelons?
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. That the very first thing is the thing that most people avoid, which is they don't ask questions and they don't put it out there. They feel afraid that they're going to be mocked or made fun of or told they're not ready. And so they don't actually put their aspirations out into the universe. And that's the single largest pace. You got to get feedback about what you need to do better. You need to be on the top of mind of someone to think about you, to sponsor you in rooms that you're not in. But that's the biggest piece. Second, you've got to solve problems. You have to understand problems. You need to solve problems. And then you need to figure out, if you're a shy person someone who likes to be in the back of the world, cool. You're going to have other people speaking your name for you. So how do you get advocates who are going to do things that you don't want to do to get your name out there? Or you're going to have to realize that you've got to figure out a way that feels authentic to you, that allows you to celebrate your wins and successes. And then the last piece is figure out who in the company your team isn't talking to and go talk to them. It's astonishing how frequently we sit in silos and we just don't talk to people. And that's how you get a greater profile, so that people know your name, so that you do more.
Oh, Karen, what a great list. And Kevin, I think my favorite,
Yeah.
we love talking about silo busting around here. It's so weird, funny, weird, whatever.
Yes.
What's old is new again. We've been after busting up silos for decades. However, we may have more silos in a weird way that's driven by technology divides in modern day than ever before.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But Kevin, when you heard Karen's advice there for career advancement, what would you add maybe?
It took me the longest time to understand the importance of mentors. These are the people that will help you answer your questions. So get a mentor and ask your questions. They will point you in the right direction, and it'll help you advance.
Mentorship. What's old is still new and powerful again, for sure. And reverse mentorship is equally as successful. So any of our business leaders out there that's not engaging in reverse mentorship, where we're learning from the newest coming into the industry, is a great opportunity. Okay, so we're going to have a fast and furious finish here. Karen, I'm looking forward to having you back. Really have enjoyed your perspective. This user, and Amanda, Tricia, let me know who this is. They say garbage in, garbage out. It still holds. Good data is key. All the best AI models in the world cannot help if you have noisy, erroneous, or missing data. Data is the fuel of the AI engine. Man, eloquent. And that was Yeshwant, by the way, the pride of Allen, Texas. So thank you for being here, Yeshwant. Okay, so Karen, I want to make sure folks know how to connect with you. I do want to mention your upcoming podcast that launches next week, Business Casuals with Karen Betancourt. You can find it in the proverbial statement, wherever you get your podcasts, but especially YouTube and Spotify. So Karen, where else, how else can folks track you down?
Well, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed this. This is fantastic. You guys can all find me on LinkedIn. I'm Karen D. Betancourt, CEO of Vanguard Medical Logistics, and happy to meet any of y'all.
Outstanding. We're dropping the link right there to Vanguard, and we'll drop a link to Karen's LinkedIn profile. And by the way, their URL is vml-sa.com. Kevin, don't ask me for the NATO alphanumeric, because those brain cells are long since dead. That came up last week. That's right. But we also dropped a link to Karen's LinkedIn profile, so check that out as well. Karen Betancourt, a pleasure. CEO of Vanguard Medical Logistics. Really enjoyed you being here. Kevin, I'm going to give you what's your favorite takeaway? Karen dropped a lot of knowledge on us over the last 30 minutes. Yeah. What is one of your favorite takeaways? And then we'll wrap.
I like the first smile. I like that focus on the first smile. And that actually tells you gives you more information of what you need to do on the last mile. So I like that. I like that.
I do too. And I would add to that, she shared a couple of times, folks, we got to have different conversations. We got to ask different questions. We got to, those folks that aren't involved in the conversations that Karen pointed out, let's pull them in, right? Let's engage them. Let's go grab lunch with them. Let's pull them into
communication.
Yeah, that's right. And we're missing out massively when we stay in our silos for all sorts of business and life conversations for that matter. So good stuff. Thanks again, Karen Betancourt with Vanguard Medical Logistics. Thanks for being here. Kevin L. Jackson, host of our Digital Transformers, where they can find that wherever they get their podcast from. Kevin, always a pleasure. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And folks, as we wrap here today, big thanks to all of our veterans out there. Thanks for what you do. Thanks to the families behind all of our veterans that have served or still serve. Folks, whatever you do, on behalf of the entire team here at Supply Chain Now, Scott Luton challenge you to do good, give forward, be the change that's needed. And we'll see you next time right back here at Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.